Hi Year 12s. So what I've got here is some ideas for developing or choosing a topic for your investigation if you're stuck for where to start. So first of all, the first method you can go through is having a look at who you know and what topics interest you, and then refining a topic that way, or down below there will be a second option as well. Down here where it's got option 2, so we'll get to that shortly. So first of all, if you don't really know where to start, something vital for the investigation is primary sources. So it's very handy to look at who you know first, or who you can possibly get in contact with, and that might guide the sort of places that you will be investigating or looking at for your information. So start by listing if you know anyone who simply works in fast food or is a waiter or waitress, anyone who's a manager of any food related business, someone who works in hotels or tourism, that's often very strongly connected with food. Cafe and restaurant workers, all right, so anyone in a cafe or restaurant opposed to just sort of fast food. Trained chefs or cooks, people who work in a kitchen, dishwashers, kitchen hands, anyone who has a catering business or works in catering, someone who is a cake decorator or makes desserts or is a patisserie chef, someone who works or sells kitchen equipment, so it could even be someone who works in a shop like House or the General Trader, or perhaps even someone who works in selling commercial items. People who eat out a lot can be a good source of customer perspective, and anyone else that you think might be relevant here as well. So if you then find, for example, that you have a lot of people who work in cafes and restaurants, you might like to focus or choose a topic that can relate to cafes and restaurants because you know you've got a lot of good sources. Then you want to have a look at what sort of areas interest you, because generally there will be one or two of these areas of study that you go, yeah, I find that a bit more interesting, and others that you just go, no, I wouldn't want to look into that at all. So I'll just go through these briefly without reading all of the dot points, just to give you an idea of the sorts of topics that would fit under these headings. Contemporary and future issues. So this is all about trends and things that are new, things that have perhaps not been an issue in the past, or trends that are current at the moment and things that are happening towards the future. So with trends, it might be a particular food trend, a type of food or a culture of cuisine, or a plating method or presentation style, a dining style, you know, a la carte versus tapas menu, share plates, things like that. Anything that is on trend can fit within here. Economic and environmental. So this is really looking at key environmental issues that are current at the moment. So for example, at the moment, the Bring Your Own Coffee Cup is one that is widely publicised, or the local food movement, things like that could fit under the economic and environmental. Otherwise, have a read, there is some other ideas here as well. Political and legal influences. This is more about legislation and the impact that political decisions or government decisions can have on the industry, or laws and regulations. So in the past, students have written about things like the Food Safety Act and the Star on the Door, where cafes could opt to be checked and given a star rating out of 5 for their food safety and hygiene, and they could use that as a way of, you know, publicising themselves, saying we're really good with our safety and hygiene. Or more recently, things have been in the media about pay and conditions, and lots of fast food workers or people in the food industry being underpaid. So the legislation there and why people are being underpaid could fit in this area, as well as anything else you could have a look at there. Socio-cultural influences. So this is sort of looking at wider society and things that are going on. This can also be to do with more nutrition related issues, or food allergies, intolerances, or popular kind of diets and things. In the past, students have looked at the impact of the paleo diet or the vegan diet, things like that. Otherwise, things like health focused, when there was the kilojoule count added to items on menu boards and things. That kind of stuff can fit here, as well as cultural, so any sort of cultural influence as well. Technological, now this can be technology in the kitchen, all right, so new equipment, items, blast chillers for example, or pressure cookers, mix masters, any sort of technology in the kitchen that is having an impact on food service, or online kind of digital technology such as social media could be explored here as well. So from that, you would want to then write down a couple of different areas of interest and thinking about, who you know, to start refining down, all right, what could 3 possible areas of interest be? They don't need to be questions or topics or anything at this point, just looking at general areas of interest and people you have access to. I would then suggest going onto the internet and having a bit of a look to see if there is current articles and information available about that general area, and if there is, that indicates that yes, that's probably a good choice. If there's not much around, then it probably indicates it's not a current issue. Now, my best tip is to go onto Hospitality magazine and onto the search. All right, and let's say you wanted to look at something in political and legal, because you have an uncle who is a lawyer and an auntie who runs a cafe, and you thought, perfect, both of those people could help. So I might type in legal requirements and just search in general to see what comes up there, and it's going to bring up if there's any articles. Okay, and I can see there's lots of articles here. All right, and I can see lots of it is to do with underpaid workers, fines, things like that. All right, so from here I could go, all right, well, I'm going to start to refine down my topic and read a couple of articles and look at what area within that might interest me the most. Okay, method 2, if you are struggling, is instead to go onto Hospitality magazine or look through the newspaper and find 3 recent articles about different things, anything to do with the food and hospitality industry, and answer these questions and see if you could possibly create a topic out of it. So to do that on the Hospitality magazine, all you could do is just go search, and instead of typing anything in, you might type food or hospitality, or if not, just hit, let's just go food. Okay, because that would probably relate to most articles, and see, all right, free online food allergy training for food service launches. Okay, so there might be a topic about food allergy training that could come up. New street food eatery, all right, could be something to do with street food. Women in food service, all right, looking at women in the industry, things like that. So what you would do is choose 3 recent articles and answer these questions, and then see if there's other information available and see if you could in fact make a topic out of that. So that's the other suggestion I have for deciding on a topic. If you're still stuck, then have a good chat with me or your teacher, and I'm sure we can come up with something.